So this is just an introduction to the practices, um, just to say a little bit about the background to what we're doing, give you an idea of some of the things that you might like to consider. The first thing to say, normally I would do these with an open window. All of the practices for the 4-week indoor sort of limited access to outdoors course are about basically connecting with nature when you've got limited access to kind of green spaces. That said, they're perfectly suitable to be done from an open window, or if you have more outside space available to you, then by all means use the outdoor space. I'm actually doing this with the window closed today, but from indoors, just because the wind is actually tending to get very gusty at times and is interfering with the sound quality. So just filming with the window closed. But ideally, unless the weather really is particularly bad, it's more effective to have the window open if you're able to, just because you can engage more of the senses, and there's definitely a sense of being more connected than sort of through a glass window pane. So there are a few things about sort of doing mindful nature connection that I've noticed. One of the things really, it applies to mindfulness in general, is that when we first kind of settle down to do a practice, you can be particularly busy with thoughts and the things that are going on. So we tend to take a few moments just to kind of arrive in the practice and just to settle. And whenever you're doing sort of nature connection or mindfulness in general, it's really useful to take just a couple of minutes to do that. Otherwise, personally, I found I can end up going for a very, very long walk before I've kind of shaken those things off, and if I don't actually take the time to really get mindful. So that's really the first thing to say. The next thing on that sort of note is that these things do take practice, and you probably are going to find that there are days where your mind might be particularly busy. You might be in a kind of particularly active mental state when you arrive to do the practice, and it might be quite tricky to sort of shake those things off, and that's absolutely fine. Every time you practice, it's different, and some days it's going to be easier to kind of get really into the sort of connection than others. And the trick with that is really just to roll with it, just accept that that's the way it is, and to be kind of gentle with yourself, definitely gentle with yourself, and maybe just to notice that that's the way things are, and just to see, see how that is to be doing the practice with that just there, and whether it sort of eases if you acknowledge it, and just allow it to be there like another person in the room, that you've kind of agreed to be there. Don't try and resist it or push it away, because in all likelihood that will actually be counterproductive. So the next thing to say is that there is no perfect way to do this, and it's very much a journey and a skill that you're learning. So if you were playing a musical instrument, you wouldn't expect to be able to play a complete, beautiful, perfect symphony the first time you picked up the instrument. It takes a bit of kind of getting used to, and and practicing. So, and yeah, in this case, there are no bad notes. It's it's your experience and it's your journey. So it's with a kind of patience and a kindness towards yourself is really the approach that tends to work best. And then finally, please don't take it too seriously. Be sort of light-hearted with it. I think very sort of gentle touch, and playful even. It's not meant to be a kind of serious, heavy, goal-oriented endeavour. It's an experiment. It's almost a game. You know, you're an adventurer, and let's see what's there. Let's explore. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoy the course. I'm really glad that you chose to join us, and I hope that you enjoy the next 4 weeks.